Well, hi everyone, and a warm welcome back. Before we get started today, as always, I'd like to thank the patrons of the channel. Your contribution each month really means a lot to me. It's not just about the money, but it's showing that some of you appreciate the work that I do and the time that I put into these videos. Now, those people are going to be mentioned at the name in the credits of this video, as always, and their name will be there for all eternity. So again, thank you very much for your contributions. Now today we're starting on a new series of videos. We're soon going to be reassembling the cars, and after 30 years Mitsubishi have decided that they are going to stop supporting our cars, which is a real shame, but credit to Mitsubishi. They did produce a fantastic car. Anyone who's got one of these cars that's been looked after, you're going to know just the fun and the joy and the pleasure you get from these cars. And of course, now 30 years have passed, we've got a number of new generations of people that are admiring these cars. I know when I go for a drive down the local town, the younger people actually come up to the car and ask if it's a new model, because it's still got such beautiful styling. If you've kept it in good condition, many of the younger people think it's a new model on the market. So credit to Mitsubishi, they really did produce a fantastic car. Now, of course, with the parts now being discontinued permanently, we've all been scrambling to buy up anything that's left on the shelves. And of course, the shelves are now pretty much picked bare. Almost anything you want from Mitsubishi for these cars is now sold. Now, we do have a number of other options, and people on my forum have been saying, you know, they're terrified now. What are they going to do to keep their car on the road? And for many of you, of course, its first option is a trip down to the local junkyard to see what bits you can pick up off junk cars. But there are lots of other options open to us, and believe me, these cars are going to go much further into the future, assuming that the governments don't actually ban gasoline, petrol fueled cars from the roads. And even then, I'm sure we're going to find a way around it. We're going to keep our cars on the road. So that's what we're going to be doing today, looking at all the options open to us. Let's start with option one. So option one, remanufactured parts. I've always been a big believer that if someone made the part in the first place, someone else can copy it or reproduce that part to the original specification. And I've never gone away from that belief that if it's not available yet, it will be in the future. Now, many of the parts, and this is just a tiny fraction of what's actually available already on the market, many of the parts are being manufactured by lots of companies around the world. In particular, the running gear and engine parts are all widely available, and there is no reason that you can't keep your car on the road as far as its mechanical condition goes. As well as manufacturers, there's also clubs and forums clubbing together to have parts made. And I myself have just started setting up my own manufacturing company, and a number of the parts you can see here today are actually manufactured by myself, and I've tried to copy the original specification in every possible detail. I'm going to go on making those parts. There are lots more parts that I'm manufacturing, and I've got plans in the future to make those parts available to all. For now, many of the parts I make are only available to my friends, but that doesn't mean things won't change. So even things like the fuel lines, a lot of people have talked about what options are available, and there's all sorts of flexible lines and things that are available on the market. I'm a real big believer in keeping everything original. So even the fuel lines are being remade in the same materials to exactly the same shape to go back in the car, and no one would ever know that it's not a genuine Mitsubishi part. So that's option one. Let's move on to option two. Option two. This is probably the most overlooked option of all. Too many of you, when you have something break down or break, you straight away dispose of it and go and buy a replacement. Those replacements are becoming harder and harder to find, and there are certain parts that will never ever be remanufactured because the costs will just be way beyond anything that the average person can afford. Repairing is a fantastic option, and you will be absolutely amazed at what can be repaired and what people throw away that doesn't need to be thrown away. I've previously done videos on the dashboard repair, I've done videos on the door card repair, and also all of these electronic gadgets can all be repaired. Your door switches, your door locks, electric windows, just about everything on these cars can be repaired, and what can't be repaired doesn't necessarily have to be trash. And a really good example that I want to give you now is the brake lines. Now, we all know the brake lines rust away. That's just natural in the environments that we drive our cars in. The brake lines are made of steel, they go rusty, the rust eats its way through, and then you naturally think you need to replace the brake line. Well, that is true, you do need to replace the brake line, but not all of the brake line is useless. This brake line is steel, it has a coating on it, which is quite expensive to have done, and I don't know of anyone on the standard market that sells this particular type of brake line unless you're willing to pay an obscene amount of money. However, you can take the good part of this brake line, especially the long ones, the bit that isn't damaged, and you can cut it down to make the smaller ones for when they corrode and need replacing. It won't cost you a single penny to make that section of brake line that goes under your arch. Why go and buy something that you already have to hand? So that policy I take for every single thing. Even a door card which has been so badly damaged, perhaps it's been left out in the rain in a junkyard and all the card behind has gone rotten and it's completely irreparable, I always take the vinyl off of that door card, because that vinyl can be used to repair a center console. A large piece of vinyl cut down to repair a smaller part of the car. It means that another part on the car is not disposed of. It means that more parts are available on the market for us to keep our cars in tip-top condition for as long as possible. I've even said on my forum, anyone who is disposing of anything, I'm always interested in buying it, whether it's faulty or broken or whatever. The chances are we can recover something from that part. So that's option 2, repair whatever can be repaired. Let's move on to option 3. Option 3, probably the most exciting option of all, because this is what this channel is all about. Restoration, taking something that's old, sad, tired, degraded, rusted, rotten, horrible, and turning it into something new. A vast majority of what is on our car is completely restorable to bring it back to as new condition in most cases. How many of you have been as passionate as me about keeping all your nuts and bolts shiny and original and looking good? But these bolts cost a fortune. If you buy them from Mitsubishi, some of these bolts will cost you $15 a piece. The cheapest one is probably a single dollar or a pound in the UK for one single tiny bolt, but you don't need to throw them away. Did you know there's nearly 1,000 nuts, bolts and screws in a single car? And how many cars have been scrapped with all of these parts still on them? Completely reusable. Everything you're looking at right now has been restored from rusty old junk. So today we're going to look at 3 of the options of restoration, and the reason we're just going to look at 3 particular ones is because when we start putting these cars back together on video, every single part is going to need a nut, bolt and screw. So you're going to need to know how to get these restored to look like new again. And then when we go to putting it back together, I will show how to restore the part that we're putting on, and you will already have all your nuts, bolts and screws ready to reassemble at the same time I'm doing mine. So the 3 options we're looking at today. Option 1, zinc plating. just about every country in the world is going to have a company that you can Google and look up that does zinc plating. That's this stuff here. Believe it or not, this lovely shiny exhaust shield looked just like this when I sent it away for replating. And you can get yours to look the same as long as the rot isn't too bad. Even then it'll still come up shiny, but you'll still have all the pitting. But you are going to get some pretty good results by sending it for zinc plating. And it's a very cheap process. Many companies will just charge you a few pounds for a single item. Or do what I do. Strip the whole damn lot at one time, take it all, and then they'll charge you by weight. And you'll be amazed at how many nuts and bolts can be done for just a couple of pounds. I shouldn't even be telling you this because I've been buying all these from everyone. When they think they're finished with their car, I'll pay for whatever's left and I strip it bare and I restore all the parts. So I've got thousands and thousands of these nuts and bolts and screws and everything, all of them looking brand spanking new. And some of you right now, I bet your mouth is watering, wish you had all these. It's no problem, you can get them all yourself. Go down the junkyard, I'm sure the local junkyard will be happy to take a few quid off you to take some old nuts and bolts that he doesn't care about anyway. So get down there quick before they go and get crushed and melted down and turned into some jelly mold useless English car, or what's these electric cars now that everyone's driving, the Prius and all that sort of thing. We don't want those. Let's keep our cars going. So zinc plating, it comes in bright zinc or just a normal flat zinc. Get it as close to your original part as you can. When you take it for replating, just tell them to match it and they'll use the right amount of brightness or whatever to get it looking exactly the same. The next process is these. A lot of people think it's a gold plating. It's not gold plating, although that would justify the price of them. I could understand Mitsubishi's price if they were gold plated, but they're not. They're actually zinc plated with a special coating over the top. It's called yellow Passivate. Again, it's readily available. Just about any company that does zinc plating will have yellow Passivate to put on top of them. You can also buy a kit to do this yourself. Go on eBay or wherever, just Google zinc plating and yellow passivating kits. If you've just got a few bits to do yourself and you like the odd little hobby of you know, doing these things yourself, you can get damn near perfect results just using a kit. And it doesn't matter how rusty your bolts are, because you can either do it yourself or the company that's going to restore them for you will put them in an acid bath that will eat away all the rust completely, leaving a beautiful shiny metal ready for coating again. So the zinc plating will protect against rust, and then the yellow Passivate will give an additional protection. And the final one we're going to talk about on this occasion is this green stuff. We've got lots of parts on our cars that look green. It's not a paint. It is still zinc plated, but instead of the yellow Passivate, there's a different Passivate. This one is called olive drab Passivate. Again, find a local company. There's plenty of them out there that will be happy to restore all of these parts for you. Get a big box of them together, separate your yellow from your silver, from your green or olive, take them to the local place, ask them to restore them for you. Lots of companies are happy to do it. So those are the main things we're looking at today. It'll give you a chance now, before we start reassembly, for you to whip off all the bits and pieces that need recoating, replating, get them down to the local platers, get them all restored, and then when we start putting the cars back together, you've got all the bits there ready to go. Don't forget to get down your junkyards as well. Stop them going to the crushers. Raid as many bits as you can. Keep them for now, keep them for the future, keep them for your kids, because they're going to want this when we're gone. That's it for this video. It's been great talking to you again. Once again, thanks for the patrons. If you've enjoyed this channel, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, and you know, you can subscribe and you'll get automatic updates every time there's a new video. There are hundreds left to come. I'll keep on doing them as long as I can and as long as you're supporting me. That's it for now. I'll see you on the next video.